The FNL Network Talk Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FNL Network Talk Show. I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Kat and Kay. Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
Sorry for the delay. I wasn't sure that I'm like the main host today, right? Is that the thing? Okay.
Yeah, I think you're the moderator.
Yeah. Would you help me, Kat?
Of course.
All right, so we have a few amazing questions from, my co-host. We kind of came up with the questions together this week. So maybe I'll start with my question and then you guys can fill it in and we can co-host this together. Okay, so my question is actually about psychics. I'm super curious. What do you think about them? You know, when I moved to LA, it's just such a common thing. You can see it on like every corner, and it's a very common thing where, like, especially if you're in the entertainment business, everybody has their own psychic. They check by them, their astrologer. And I wonder if you had any experiences with that, and what do you think about this whole thing in general? Kat?
Okay, so I am very up for a psychic. I've never seen one myself, but I do believe in communication from the dead. I think a lot of the psychics we see, I think there's a lot of fake ones out there, but I think there's a lot of legitimate ones. Now, I've had animal communicators, and I'm going to say spot on every time. Like I had, after I removed my boobies, I had one in the UK, and it came to speak to my horse, and she turns around to me and said, "Have you got an infection in your left boob?" And I said, "How the hell does he know?" And he asked for like healing because I had an infection where my implants had been taken out. And I'm going to say, I've used them throughout the years, and everything is spot on that's been said. I mean, when my horse was exporting from South Africa, he went to Mauritius, and I knew everything about Mauritius before I even arrived there. And it was insane. And I'm going to say that a good animal communicator tends to be a psychic. They can hear the dead too, because I've spoken to them about it. And just is absolutely insane what they know. I mean, on my first ever reading, first thing my horse says, and he hates flies. He used to hate flies. Like, he once picked me up with his head, tossed me in the air. I did a somersault, and I was sitting on the floor. And he just looked down at me, and he's like, "What are you doing there?" Well, anyway, when he first saw this communicator, he's like, "I hate flies, but all this is too much," because he was wearing like a fly mask, a fly sheet, boots. And he told us stuff about his life, that he was from America and he had a complicated life. And he said about my life that I had depression, and he wanted me to, like, little laughter to come out of my little body. And it was always spot on, always absolutely spot on. And I'm going to say I have had myself, in the past 4 months, I have had communication, and I'm going to say from the dead. It sounds like really bizarre, but when my horse passed, the first thing that happened is I took his little rattle home. So he used to have a key rattle on the door. And the day that I took it home, I came back from walking the dog at like 9:30 at night, and the dog wouldn't come near my apartment. So we walked the whole length of our complex, which is like 4 big long buildings, and came back, and she still didn't want to go in. So I opened the door, and my apartment is like ice, like the coldest I've ever felt. It was like just insane. And I go in, and I'm actually pick up this little kid's rattle. And I said, "Winthrop, are you here?" And anyway, I put the heating on, and in 4 hours, it doesn't get any warmer despite the heat. Now, during that time, an email came through offering me a puppy from the breeder that I was on a waiting list for. And it turned out, because of visa renewal, I couldn't take the puppy, but it was just bizarre. And then there was another occasion where there was like white roses at the barn where he used to live. And I went down 9 days after he passed, and they'd all turned light pink. And that's my favorite color. And then the last, I didn't feel him for a few months, like literally 3 months. And then Tuesday morning, I hadn't slept all night. I finally fell asleep about 5 a.m. It's the last time I looked at my phone. And I woke up in sweats and tears at, I'm going to say 5:45. And I had the most vivid dream, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it was like this kind of, it was either like a wasp type body with this circle flames around it, or it was like a butterfly on fire. And it was just hovering, waiting. And it just had a smile on its face, and it hovered. And then this smaller, like also beautiful, mesmerizing, I'm going to call it like a firefly or something, joined it, and they join hands, and probably going to get emotional. They look at me and they say, "We're going to be okay," and off they went, giggling. And anyway, sorry, I don't want to get too emotional, but so anyway, they went off giggling. They looked round again and they said, "We'll be fine." And I knew then when he had come to get my dog, and like literally 36 hours later, my dog was gone. And I'm just going to say, you know, there has been time, you know, there's times in my life where I have felt presence, absolutely, I believe. And I would say the day, I didn't think my dog was going to pass on Wednesday. And I left to go and get the keys from my friend's apartment to look after her cat. And she wanted to read my angel cards. And all these cards came up with, can communicate from the dead, needs to work with animals, the animal communicator and all this. And I was asking questions not related to this at all. And then I go home, and as I open my door, my dog's staring at the door, and just a message passes between us. And I always wanted to put my dog down at home. And I knew that she said to me, when I opened the door, she said, "I'm ready when you're ready, Mum." And she still had a quality of life. But I decided then that if I gave her permission, she would go down very quickly. And it might be, you know, she might not be able to have a quality of life by the time the at-home vet came. So we went to my vet and we sat in the park until they were ready. And it was really actually beautiful. My dog sat up in the car the whole way and, you know, looked out the window, and she loved the journey. And I'm going to say, I absolutely believe. I mean, just that dream I had the other night, I woke up crying, but I also woke up at peace. And I really believe in it. I mean, I've used like obviously the animal communicators, and I would like to do a psychic to talk to those I care about that are behind the grave. But I'm a bit scared. I am a bit scared, but I'm absolutely 100% a believer. Absolutely.
Well, Kat, I need all your psychics numbers after the show. It seems like they're really working, and I'm so curious to know more. How about you, Kay?
No, I don't have experience with psychics. I don't really believe in psychics. I think that for me, Kat's experience just sounds like a really spiritual experience. I mean, she didn't have to have like a middle, an intermediary to tell her things about her dog. It just felt like she's very intuitive, and you knew that stuff on your own, you know what I mean? Or you and your dog had the kind of bond that you could kind of communicate, without those words. And so that's beautiful. And I'm so sorry to hear about your dog passing, because I mean, just you talking right now, you can tell that you guys had a very special relationship, and that you guys were really close, and that just has to be really difficult. But I just think it's amazing that you were able to walk them through the journey of like the end of life, and that it was a peaceful, journey, and something that you felt that you were able to choose and kind of take part in. So that is just really beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that with us. That's really vulnerable to share that.
Thank you. I mean, I don't believe in being scared of death. I don't at all. So it was beautiful, and it was peaceful. And she died on my lap, and I spent 20-30 minutes just sat there afterwards, just with her, sat there. And it was beautiful. It was very sad, but very, at the same time, you couldn't do more than just show love in the last moment. And so, yeah, I respect your the fact that you don't believe in psychics, because I think, you know, it's like, I'm not religious, you are. I think difference in opinion, I think it, you know, spices the variety of life, you know what I mean? I think if we all thought the same, we would be boring, really, really boring.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, I didn't used to believe in any of this. I thought animal communicators was a load of codswallop. And then everybody in Cape Town was having them. And I was just like, yeah, right, whatever. And when I saw what had been said, I was like, I've got to have it done. And I was changed. From my reading, I was changed. And I wasn't a believer before. So I do believe in that. And I respect what you said about being in tune and spiritualism. Like I said, I don't believe in God or anything, but I think you can pick up on energy. Definitely pick up on energy. And I think sometimes, you know, you do get a sign that just says, you know, it's more or less like, you will be fine. You know, like I know my brother got a single daisy grow up out of his lawn where his dog passed. And it was just single daisy once, never appeared again. You know, it could be a coincidence. I don't believe so.
Yeah. What do you think, Eugenia? Have you gone to a psychic before?
So yeah, I'm fascinated by it, you know, just because I live in Los Angeles and like psychics are on every corner. And I'm kind of like in between you. I have an opinion that it's definitely an industry that can be exploited and prey on the vulnerable people, because we all want to know and we want that comfort of like, I want to know what the future holds. And it's just a human thing, you know, we don't like actually to live in unknown, which is the best thing in your life. And you don't know what's going to happen. But I think our minds sometimes go to places where we like need the answer and like we need to put everything into like, you know, the comfort zone in a way. But I absolutely went to psychics. Actually, my friend, when I was 17, took me like in Paris first time to a psychic. And I was like, what is that? You know, my dad is a nuclear scientist. Like, I didn't know what it was. But I did have an incredible experience with some people. I think, first of all, I think all of us have psychics, 100%. It just, you know, I think we're so in tune with like logic that we kind of at times don't trust our intuition. But I'm sure you get side experiences, like I have chills, where like you just have a feeling. And if you trust it, like the heart knows, you know, it's a proven thing that the heart is actually stronger than the brain in a way. And it's like the last organ that dies as a human. So like you really have to trust your gut even. Feeling and like checking with your body, which is not really used in Western culture, you know, and especially now, like on Zooms, we're always talking like these little squares and we just don't use our body for that. But yeah, I went to so many psychics just for fun, sometimes with my friends, and some of them just were like not, you know, whatever they said, you try to follow. Actually, it's a bad thing because they influence you to believe something. And then, you know, you kind of wear your life towards that, and like it happens just because they told you and you like already it's in your mind kind of programmed. But I do believe in synchronicity a lot, you know, like I definitely believe that we're creators, and you know, I think especially now like everybody's a creator and consciously can choose with their willpower their reality. And thank you so much for sharing, Kat, you know, about your experiences. I definitely had that awareness about like, you know, the spirit world, so to say, when my dad passed. And I remember just traveling and I had chills. Like I knew that his presence was with me, you know, for a while. And, you know, I had to let it go in a way because I was holding to that, and literally crazy things would happen, things would move, and, you know, like things that, you know, the knocks on the door had that. I was studying at Meisner School a few years ago, and the teacher is like one of a few people who's actually studied with Meisner, you know, and like he brought his chair and we're doing all these exercises. And I think actors are kind of in tune, you know, they operate on that intuition. We're doing this repetition exercises and the lights would go out and on. They actually had to call like an exterminator for ghosts, and they were recording all these voices there. So that was fascinating. I think it's like the whole thing. And one time they asked me to participate, these producers in the show, like a ghost hunting show. So they take, you know, actors or whoever, and they place you in, my dog is definitely chasing a ghost now. Logan, stop. Everything is fine. There's no ghost here. It's all okay. My dog is a guard dog, so he's always barking. But yeah, they basically take actors. One second, you guys. This is
No, you're fine.
show today.
I'm saying, like, when we say psychic, Kat, like, what do you guys mean? Because when you said, do you believe in psychics? I'm thinking, like, I believe in a whole spiritual realm. When you said psychic, I was like, do I believe I can go to somebody and they're going to read my palm and tell me my future? Like, no. But I like believe in being intuitive. And like Eugenia said, like, I believe like a lot of the answers to things that we want to know, we already know. You know what I mean? I think like the answers to a lot of questions are within us. And I feel like everyone is intuitive. So I really don't think you would need to go to somebody to have them to tell you something. I feel like you know a lot of stuff on your own. And I feel like everybody, like I agree with Eugenia, like everybody is intuitive and has a base level of intuitivity. Like, and you really do have to trust your gut. Like I 100% believe that, trust your gut. So to go to somebody else and be like, what do you think for me? I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like you could probably do as good as somebody else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I do believe in the trust your gut, your instinct, you have some intuitive like things on your own for yourself. And then once it comes to like you saying that your dad passed and you felt his presence, like, oh, I 100% believe that. I don't consider that to be psychic. I just think that's like the spiritual realm, and it's like really close. What I would consider to be like the spirit world of people that have passed on. It's like really close to our world. And yeah, that's just my view.
I mean, I think everyone can access their spiritual side, and I do believe, you know, like I said, I believe in energy, so I do believe that signs, you can get signs, you know. But as far as the psychic, I do believe in them. I think if you need a question answering, if you need to speak to someone, I do believe there are people that can. I think there's a lot of fake ones about. I think there's a lot of people who will take you for a ride and play on your emotional, vulnerable side. But I do think there's people that legitimately can. And Debbie, who was my South African animal communicator, she used to work as a nurse in like the baby ward, and she could hear them all talking. And anyway, I kind of like, really, what? I kind of just didn't believe all this. But she changed into communicating with animals, and actually said to her, can you communicate with the dead? And she said, yes. She said, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse. And like, I trust her so much because of all the interactions I had with her. And she sensed stuff that was happening to me when I was in the UK. The horse was in Cape Town. The horse actually contacted her and said, I need to know that my mum is okay. She's done something stupid. And I had done something stupid. And she was like the middleman. And it was like really just bizarre. And she actually came out and asked me. And I had, you know, when I left South Africa, I didn't know where my life was going. I had depression. And I was a bit of a mess for a little bit. And I'm going to say that just to have this woman who's in Cape Town contact me literally the morning after I never did anything stupid, but I went to do something stupid and then I snapped out of it. And but to have her actually contact me and say, I need to know you're okay. And it wasn't her that asked, she was like the middleman for other stuff. And so absolutely, I do believe, I really do believe. And I think it's a personal thing. You know, it's like everything. It's like religion. You believe, you don't believe, you appreciate other people's beliefs. It's just, you know, I don't believe that all these psychics are legit. Definitely not. I think there's like Eugenia says in LA, there's a shop on every corner with psychic. Don't believe that at all. Really don't believe that at all. That's playing on people's emotions and a bit of a scam. But there are people that generally can do it.
There definitely all the shops are run by like some kind of mafia, I know, especially around Sunset area. But sometimes when we like hang out with my friends, we'll just go in for fun, you know. So like if you don't take it too seriously, I think that's the way just to approach it, you know. It's a fun thing. But definitely, you know, like I met some really talented people who are actually do have the skill, and I do believe that it's possible to have it, and not everybody has it. Well, thank you so much, guys. I'll ask you one more question. What is something that you absolutely need right now to be happy? And I would go with Kay.
What do I need to be happy? I would say, I mean, I have a good baseline of happiness. I feel like I heard a guy say once, like he's a public speaker. I don't know if you guys know Tony Robbins. I think it's two key things. One is like, I have to personally be appreciative every day to honestly be happy. Like no matter what my situation is, if I'm not grateful, then I'm not going to be happy, right? Like for myself, like no matter what is going on in my situation, if I can find a way to cultivate being thankful, then I can appreciate and have some kind of baseline happiness. But I remember Tony Robbins once said the key to happiness is low expectations, which I thought was really interesting. I was like, oh, that kind of sounds depressing. And he was like, because most sadness, disappointment, all of that stuff is because you set an expectation to here, and when life doesn't meet it, then you're disappointed. But if you set your expectations low, then you're never disappointed. Then everything is like good news to you. You know what I mean? And I tried it for like a week and it did help. It was really helpful. Like I just went into a bunch of different situations just not expecting. And that's different because I'm kind of a pessimist, right? So like sometimes I just expect things to go wrong, but having low expectations isn't expecting things to go wrong. It's different, right? It's like going into a situation and just going, you know, just being like, I'm going to let this situation unfold. You know, I'm going to fly out. I fly out tonight to take my daughter to school. She's going to college this year, to take her to college. And so, you know, there's all kinds of crazy stuff about just like what a nightmare flying is right now. So I'm like, okay, I got to set my expectations low. You know, I keep saying to myself, it's okay if we miss the flight. It's okay if we get there, you know, a little bit later. I just need to chill because my low expectation, my number one desire is I just have to be there by Monday, right? Like my plane lands on Saturday, but really my low expectation is I just have to get there by Monday. We can do everything afterwards. I just want my kid to be healthy and happy and safe. So for me, I think the key is like managing my expectations. Like when I do that, I find generally that I'm a lot happier and just being grateful. You know, I have a kid that got into a great college and I'm really excited for her. And so I have to line those two things up.
So interesting to say that. Yeah, so, sorry, Kat, for interrupting you. It's so interesting you say that. I think a lot of people, they like, it's true, like low expectations, not the same as expecting something negative to happen, because, you know, I think the most thing that I appreciate you said, like you can't control the outcome. So if you just breathe in the moment and, you know, kind of chill out a little bit and be present, then it's true. Like whatever is supposed to happen will happen. How about you, Kat?
I agree with a lot of what Kay was saying. Like, if you don't expect too much, everything else is a bonus. And that's kind of like my philosophy on life. And it has been for a while, you know, don't expect miracles. Don't expect to be running a marathon today when you just got on the treadmill for the first time. It's like baby steps, one step forward, another step forward, and build gradually. And I'm going to say happiness, it does come from within, but also it's kind of dictated to about what's happening in your life, about the people around you, what they're going through. And I think if you do something every single day, like at the moment, obviously I'm breathing, just something that makes you feel good about yourself, whether it's put a face mask on, run a bubble bath with candles, go for a hike in the sunshine. Like yesterday, I went swimming in the pool in the sunshine, and I'm a mermaid, people. Like I was born to be the star of Splash. And just little things like that, even though I'm devastated in life at the moment, I was content for that moment. And it's like, you know, I really look forward to doing today because I enjoy talking with you guys and I enjoy being part of the FNL Network talk show. And I think if you have something every single day to look forward to, you do something that makes you feel good, whether or not it's pour a glass of wine, or make a nice meal, or, you know, get on a spin bike. If you do something that makes you feel good, then you will feel happier. I don't believe you can be 100% happy. I don't. I think we're human. I think we always have the, I can have more mentality, you know. It's like I've bought a house and then it's, oh, but I can, you know, work towards a bigger house. And we always have that, we want to strive for more. You know, it's like today I've done a at-home facial or whatever, but I want to go see Dr. Diamond, or you can always be striving for more. And I think you have to be content with what you've got. The people around you, they really do affect how you feel. And I want to say people's kindness to me, that I wasn't expecting to be kind to me in the last 48 hours, has been ridiculous. I mean, it's like my maintenance guy, where in the complex I live, he gave me like the biggest, longest hug yesterday. And the cleaning lady knew my dog was getting very old, and I saw her and I said she's passed, and she started crying. And just, you know, and like the building manager, when I went to the office and told them I took some things for the drive we're having to collect for the shelters, she gave me like the longest, biggest hug. And she can be, I'm going to say, let's just say she can be a bitch. And she actually gave me the biggest hug. It was really unexpected. And she said, if you want to come sit in my office daily for as long as you need and work, you're more than welcome. And it's just like little things. People make you feel good about yourself. And yeah, so you make your own happiness, and it's also about people around you, your friends and everything else. And you can be going through a really tough situation, but there are definitely moments where people elevate you so much and you have a smile on your face despite, you know, feeling like the world's ending. And yeah, I think happiness definitely comes from within, and you're very lucky that you have friends and nice people, nice weather, good experiences to elevate your life.
Absolutely, Kat. You know, I can agree so much with that. And especially saying that like happiness is not a permanent state of mind. I think people made so much money on the industry, like, oh, everybody wants to be happy, right? And everybody wants to be loved. And like, how do I achieve that and stay there? And, you know, having kids, they go through so much emotions daily and they don't hold it back. They're like crying 1 second and then they're happy the next one, you know? So I think it's like fully being alive is actually embracing all the uncomfortable feelings as well that we ran from, you know, the sadness and the anger, and just kind of not holding them in your body, because then you become sick if you just stuck in that like, oh, I'm going to be happy all the time. It's kind of a fake happiness. And I think, thank God, people are kind of talking about and being aware, because I think mental health, you know, it's such an important thing in the world right now. So, you know, I can't agree more with you. And also, you know, who you surround with is so, so important. It's so true, because, you know, actually your brain, if people are always complaining about you or like are negative around you, your brain starts to rewire, and the opposite way, you know, so it takes time for the brain to actually put these neural connections and, you know, have your nervous system just be in a place where it's more calm, and you don't live from like fight or flight action, you know, resistance, if you're surrounded by negative people all the time. I just know that coming from Russian cultural society, like it's definitely a culture of like, oh, but like, why did you have that? And why I didn't have that? And, you know, like kind of be negative, like, why is everybody happy? So I had to rewire my brain pretty fast. And thank God, I think there was a reason why I moved to Paris so young, just because I felt uncomfortable, you know, living in the culture of like not being okay is okay every day. And I wanted to find that like something else, you know, I knew that I could be extremely joyful and happy, and I don't have to be suppressed, you know, by the society or the culture in a way. Well, if to say like absolutely what I need to be happy right now is actually sleep, it comes down right to health. I think it's so interesting because if you can have so many things that make you happy, but if you don't have your health, that's it. Everything else goes out of the window. So I was putting this huge event for Playboy and with Playboy for Women Forward International. And I set up my goals so high and my expectations so high. And I was just so excited. And then I didn't realize how much work it entails. And, having kids and, other work is like, oh my God, I haven't slept for, weeks. And like literally just finished it yesterday. Thank God it was a big success, but once you're in there, you don't even realize, because you have to host it and make sure that everybody's good. So now finally I'm like, okay, I'm happy it's over and I can sleep for a second and just regroup and strive for another, whatever makes you happy. There's always something that you strive. And what's amazing, like you meet so many successful people who achieved so much and they're still not happy. It's true. There's no limit, you can want one house and it's so true. Like I know actors who have multiple series and awards and they're still not happy. And it's a fact, like after you get an Oscar, you kind of become unhappy because like, what is the next thing that I strive to get? And I think it just translates to like any kind of achievement. And I was reading this one book by a motivational coach who really teaches even people who are high achievers that it's not about that actually happiness is about being in the moment and being vulnerable and embracing all this like highs and lows. And when you're in the flow, things open up to you because you're not in the construction space, you're in embracing place, it's expansion and miracles happen in that place, when you don't have expectations and you kind of embrace just being rather than trying to be something. So that's my point of view.
No, I do really agree with that. I think you've got to have the highs and the lows and everything else. And I agree with what you said about Russia, because I'm British and we are called whinging Poms for a reason by the Aussies. I mean, we moan about everything. We moan about the weather. If it's hot, we're like, oh my God, there's going to be hose pipe bans. If it's raining, we're complaining about that. And it does rain a lot. And I just think for me, when I left the UK and I got rid of just the kind of the moaning sort of culture that we have, and we moan about absolutely everything. It's actually really refreshing, and to be grateful for the little things, and like Kay said, to set your expectations low, achieve that one goal and be so content with it, and then you can build another goal and then you're content again, and you keep building the building blocks, and you have moments of happiness when you achieve the next thing, another moment of happiness. And I think if you keep building your moments of happiness, even if it's to do the laundry, you finish doing the laundry, yes, you don't have to do it for another week and it makes you feel good, then great, because it's about being content with who you are, being just happy from within and not expecting too much, but you've always got more than someone else to be grateful for it and appreciate it.
Okay, I would like to pass the Zoom microphone to you to ask, so you can ask the question and co-host.
Yes, so my question was about adult friendships. I think like when we're kids, it's so easy to make friends. You just walk over to another kid on the playground, or you guys have class together or whatever. So I was wondering how you guys make adult friends, and what do you look for in friends now that maybe you didn't when you were younger? And what's kind of the difference between a friend and just an acquaintance? And like maybe you've had an acquaintance and you thought, I think that I should promote them to friend, or how do people generally grow from friends? Any of those answers to any of those questions. I was just thinking about adult friendships this week.
Okay, so I think, like you said, at school, it's really easy to make friends. We're in the classroom together, we're in the playground together, we spend all our time together. Now in the adult world, especially, I'm going to say if you work in entertainment, you don't work with the same people day in, day out. And if you are lucky enough that you have a job, say in an office or whatever, and you get to see the same people, it's easier to create friendships. But I'm going to say, having a mutual activity that you enjoy, whether or not it's yoga, whether or not it's like an acting class, whether or not it's, I don't know, a Bible study, having something in common, it really helps with building a friendship. And if you like someone, then, you know, go for a coffee and stuff like that. And I think it does take hard work to build friendships. I do think it does. Like, I've made friends through horses because I've always been a rider. And even when I've moved to, like when I moved to Cape Town, I knew nobody, but I made friends for life, and actually friends that are now like family because of having a horse. And the same when I moved back to LA this time around. I've been gone for a while, and like LA, people come and go all the time. It's kind of like a conveyor belt. And again, because of my interest in riding, I had a community already. And I just think having an interest where like-minded people come together really does help. And yeah, because if you've got a common interest, then you're likely to be able to have conversations and stuff like that. And so go for coffee, have a drink, build on it. And I'm going to say, as to qualities of a friend, someone who's dependable, someone who, if you don't see them for a couple of years, you can just click straight back in, that it's never hard work to have a conversation, that, you know, you're excited to see them, you look forward to seeing you, you actually want to go around for dinner. And I'm going to say friends can also introduce you to new friends. If you go for a dinner party, you're likely to get to know people, and if you like them, then, you know, stay in contact and everything else. I just think a good friend, you know, when stuff goes wrong in life, they'll reach out to you, and they'll keep reaching out, keep checking in on you. And I think a friendship, it's definitely a two-way thing, and it's something you work on, but it's also something that's very organic and very natural. And it just feels like, the new blanket, you know, it's comforting and nice. And I think of an acquaintance, yes, you can walk down the street and you can be like, hey Joe, how are you? Nice to see you. And you can have a conversation about the weather or what have you been up to. But you don't know them intimately. You don't know what's going on in their life. It is just the top level of the soil. You're not digging deeper. And I think that's the big difference. An acquaintance is someone you know. It's not necessarily someone you want to hang out with time and time and time again. Whereas your friends, you love hanging out with them. You move heaven and earth to hang out with them. And you understand, for example, you guys, both mothers, if your kids come first, but you understand when they can't meet up with you or whatever. And I think friendship, it's basically like having a family. It really is like having a family. And true friendship's a very, very beautiful thing.
What about you, Eugenia?
Yeah, it's so true. Thanks so much, Kat, for sharing. Thank you for your question. I love this question, actually. Well, my therapist would call me like a total hopeless romantic. That's the first thing. I know she listens to that, she will confirm. And it's good to have a therapist. I've been really kind of growing in the area of friendship and what it means, especially, I love people so much. Like, I love meeting people. Even though I'm an introvert, like, I still am very curious about how people think differently, because I think we grow by our differences. So I'm always curious how everybody's thinking and how, it's interesting to grow. What's their perspective on life? And my thing is, like, I always come up as a kid. I'm like, yes, I'll give you everything. And, and sometimes I think boundaries are really something that I've been learning how to establish, especially this year, and especially in Los Angeles. Being in the entertainment business is a separate thing. I find it's really sometimes hard to build real true friendships just in the business, because it's the nature of the business. Everybody's trying to get something, and it's a relationship business. So you always have to know they're there for you, not for you to get to somebody or something. Like, for me, it's been a struggle, honestly, because my husband runs a studio, and a lot of times I have to take my pink glasses off, and kind of see people for who they are. And that's what my therapist said, don't project onto people. It's so easy to project, like, oh, like, I'm nice to you, so you're going to be nice too. People are who they are, and they have their motives, and they maybe have ulterior motives, but just see through that, be direct. Like, at least on my part, I try to communicate very directly and, ask people direct questions. So if we're establishing a friendship relationship, I know where it's at. So I think communication is the first thing. And, you know, it's true, like boundaries are important. It's important to be there for your friends, whether somebody is there specifically for you, not because what you do or, you know, anything else, but they're there for you, and somebody who can listen to you. It's so easy to listen at, right? But I think listening and observing are skills that honestly, like I try to learn every day. And of course, sometimes I fail and I do project it to people, but I think it's so important. If something happens to a friend, you don't specifically try to like come up with the solutions or, you know, just be there for them. It's so rare to have these people in your life. And it's true, you know, once you find those soulmates, like I really believe we do have soulmate friends, and it's amazing. Like I met a few of them, and it's people who are always there no matter what for you, and you do, you know, consciously do your best to be there for them anytime. And it's just such a deep level of connection. Like it's not even about just having hobbies together, doing something together and changing. It's like you just know these people in your life and they're there to stay. And I think sometimes people just come to teach you some lessons about yourself, because I think you attract actually in other people what you kind of sometimes missing in yourself, you know, like you attract certain relationships and then like that person has a lot of power and you don't believe you have it, or that person has a voice and you don't have it, and then you grow, and once you cultivate it, maybe these relationships that don't need to stay there anymore. So I found it also fascinating. And I think, yeah, friends is so important. Community is so important. You know, my son is struggling with that a little bit. He's just so sweet, and he's been a little bit bullied in school, and he kind of withdraw from social interactions and like focuses on tennis a lot and sports. And I'm trying to convince him, you know, that it's so important to have a community. I think as humans, we're just wired. And I think that's why a lot of people struggled with mental health issues in pandemic, just because we were separated and we're wired to like hug and feel good and feel love, you know, and all these small things as humans. And having a mask and being at home by yourself, like definitely affected, I think, a lot of people. And it definitely reevaluated a lot of friendships in a lot of ways, you know, and like you know who you want to spend time. I think we never went back to kind of socializing and partying and just all these things. Now you really prioritize your time and people you want to see and who matter to you. And I think just, you know, being conscious about like, you know, you see through people, through their actions. I think the most important thing is actions rather than words. And people really show who they are and believe them when they show you who they are.
Yeah, no, I think when you said, you know, we prioritize through COVID, I think that's so true. And I know, like, I don't know if it was the year, like 2020, like the beginning of the year or a little bit before, but I know I made a goal for myself. I was like, you know what? I only have so much time. I'm going to cultivate like a small inner circle, because what was happening for me with social media, with friendships, is that I would get on Facebook and I would spend time looking at pictures, commenting, talking to someone from like ninth grade who I haven't like actually made a connection or seen in like 25 years. And I was just like, why am I spending any time on like a third tier, like tertiary person that I never see? I could be investing this time in like closer friendships. That's when I decided to tighten my circle. And so one of the things I did was like stop communicating with a lot of people on Facebook. Like occasionally I'll post, but most people will follow my husband because he posts more often than me if they want to know about my family. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put any more effort into those relationships. I'm going to go with a tight circle of people that I feel like I can count on, that are close to me, because that's one of the things I need, is people to be kind of like nearby and able to contact me on a regular basis. And it just changed so many things, because it changed so many things when it came to friendship for me, because I'm not good with keeping like in contact with people I haven't seen in a long time. So it helped to kind of concentrate my circle. And even with people that I hadn't seen in a while, if I had put them in my inner circle, I was like, okay, you know, one of my best friends, Jason, we've known each other since we were 16. I was like, okay, I want to get closer to Jason. I still want to feed our relationship. Like, even though he's far away, I'm going to work at it. So I won't spend that time like Facebooking with somebody from 4th grade, I'm gonna focus on my relationship with Jason. So I make sure to call him, check his posts, keep in contact with his wife because we're friends too, see how his kids are doing, and that kind of thing. So it really helped me to be like, okay, I need to really target what friendships I want to nurture, and then some other ones just kind of have to fall by the wayside, unfortunately. There wasn't like a big like I didn't have to break up with any friends, but I had to just be like, okay, I'm not going to invest my time in those people that are kind of in the outer circle that really don't affect my life as much. Have you guys ever had that, like where you had to break up with a friend?
I have, yes. I had like a best friend for 10 years and we were so close, but she got a guy in her life and he actually was abusive to her. And she did tell me he had hit her. No. And I did voice my opinion. And in the end, she chose him over having a friendship with me. And as a friend, all you can do is say, look, I think you're an absolute mug for going back to him. You're really stupid. And she did. And I think part of it was she wanted a baby and everything else and clocks ticking and all that. And it came down to it, he was very jealous. And I remember calling her when I was in Cape Town, she was in New York, and he wouldn't even let her speak to me on the phone. He was that jealous. Oh. And, we were on WhatsApp or something, and he basically made her get off the phone. And we were calling, massive time difference apart, one continent, another continent, and he was that jealous. And I think when it comes down to it, that she wanted a family, she chose him. I had to take a step back because I couldn't see her be in that situation. And since then, we don't speak on Instagram anymore, we don't speak on Facebook, and it's really sad. And I'm going to say, while talking about social media, that social media is full of fake friendships, absolutely full of them. And I think, I really pity the new generations that are really growing up with it, because to them, it's like, we've talked about like culture before, we've talked about, meeting people on Instagram and stuff like that, but it's fake. It is fake. It's not organic. I mean, even like us talking via Zoom, we get to know each other, we hear each other's stories, we learn about each other as people, and we do develop friendships, on Facebook, no. Instagram, no. And I just think it's very difficult for people that haven't experienced the world without social media to understand that. And I think a good friendship is very solid, and it's organic. And I think, they can have a timeline, they do progress, people change, and friendships change as people change and their situations change. And I think it's okay to say goodbye. And also the ones that you want close, then yes, work at it, because it's worth having. So
absolutely, Kat, to add to that, I feel sad that happened with you and your friend, but I think you can't be a rescuer all the time, right? Because you do what you can do, but then you let people grow at their own pace. Like, you can't actually control what people will choose to do. And it's beautiful that you put an effort in and kind of let it go. For me personally, I had to, I come from such a people pleaser place because my parents were busy and, didn't have time to watch me maybe sometimes. So I really seeked attention from a young age. And even approaching friendships, I have to reflect and get into therapy about that, because I just would do anything for anybody to like me, no matter what. I would change my personality. I would give them gifts. I would forgive their terrible behavior. I would drive them around LA. I would save their life, and being a parent, plus it adds that level of okay, caretaking. And I had to step back, and I'm like, you know what? It's okay not to be liked. And honestly, it just comes to that, I don't want to play a victim, and I don't want to be a savior. I want to be on the same page. So a lot of times, this year, I had to look back and see what do you bring into my life, and if you don't, and if you only go out with me while because I'm driving us everywhere, I don't want that, So it's very uncomfortable, especially for someone coming from people pleasing, to ask for, like to bring something on the other part and like, consider rejection. But I had to grow, and I'm still growing, to step up into that power, because then actually the friendships are real, they're authentic, and it's, it's something that you are in partnership and not just, like saving somebody or else, or just projecting into people.
I think that's very true. And I think what you've just said, I mean, that's such a toxic friendship. It is a use me situation. And I think when you've got a toxic friendship like you did, you have to reassess it, you get rid of it. Because anything that's impacting your life, either because you feel used, either because it's negative on you, get rid. Life's too short, get rid. So friendship is a two-way thing. And, sometimes one person gives more, one person gives less, other times the other person gives more and the other person gives less. It basically is a give and take thing.
Right.
Okay, so my question is, if you had the chance to go out into the wilderness and play at being Bear Grylls, and you've only got a small little backpack of essentials, and you're going to be in the wilderness for a month, 2 months, you've got to find your own food, build your own accommodation, dig holes for your doo-doo, would you do it and why? And if you wouldn't do it, what would the ultimate challenge be that you would set for yourself? Eugenia.
Okay, I'll try to answer super fast. I feel like coming from food lines kind of gave me a lot of survival skills. So I definitely would have no problem going on like Naked and Afraid or like Survivor and eating whatever is there. We kind of had to come up with so many creative things as kids. So I think it actually trains your brain like to creatively find solutions where you probably wouldn't otherwise, if you have everything available to you. So I would definitely love to go to that show. I would take music with me because I love music, and it puts me in a mood where I can creatively come up with a solution where I can find that food. And, I would just take my few favorite music albums and listen to them, and then, try to find where I can build fire, or just like literally go to basics and see how it works, because I think human nature is fascinating. We are survivors, at the end of the day, we all want to live. Like, this is the primal thing. So I would definitely try something interesting. So you guys, if anybody of the producers from Naked and Afraid are watching, I'm ready to go to the jungle.
I'm so not this person. Like, what's funny is my family, we were on a road trip, and we were just all laughing about that because somebody was talking about like zombie apocalypse and that type of thing. Listen, I'm not that person. If I have to dig a hole to poop in, just kill me. Just go ahead, zombie bite me, because I am not about to be on the run, eating maggots, pooping in a hole. Like, just go ahead and let me be a zombie. Go ahead and let me repent and die and go on to my glory, because it ain't no way. It's not no way. I'm not the sleep outside in the cold. Oh no. On the ground. Oh no. I don't even camp, girl. So Bear Grylls, like, no, it's not going down. It's not going down. I can't eat cat. Honestly, I saw this question earlier this week, and I was like, this is hilarious, because there's no way I would do any of it. And then you were like, well, what would you do to challenge yourself if not this? And I was like, I wouldn't. That's my personality. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anything to challenge myself. Sit on a Mexican beach in the sun with a cool lemonade. Like, I know I'm just not the challenging, like, push myself kind of person. I'm sure that there's a problem with that. Eugenia, you go to the therapist a lot. You can shrink me next episode. Next week we could talk about what my issues are. But
Siberia and
I'm not trying to.
Yeah, we were sleeping outside in the cold as kids, so you don't want to go through that.
Listen, girl, I most certainly do not. I'm like, bruh, like, no. I had a tough childhood. I never had to sleep outside, but I had a tough childhood, and like, we were really poor, and so like, I tried to do things so I could make it, so I would never have to sleep outside again. That's why I don't understand camping. I'm like, why would I camp on purpose? Like, why would I sleep outside on purpose? Homeless people looking at you like you a fool. You got a whole house and you sleeping outside? Like, why? I just don't get, it's some things I just will never understand. It's not my thing to do. And yeah, but my husband loves that kind of stuff. Like he loves camping. He loves, like he could live outside for months at a time. Like that's how he grew up, like with very like outdoorsy parents. But yeah, not me. But not me.
Yeah, I absolutely love your honesty, Kay, because like you, I am a princess. I don't camp. I don't go to a hotel. I have worked as a chambermaid. The whole thing about hotels and pillows somebody else has used, just gross. But unlike you, I would love to be in the wilderness, be Bear Grylls, challenge myself. I'm going to be the person on the first day I'm OCD, I can't do dirt. I like shower like 4 times a day, no joke. Sorry for the water problem, they are short showers, but I would be the person that's there rocking myself, crying my eyes out because I couldn't cope. And I'm also vegan, so eating bugs, hunting for an animal, it's going to be a problem, going to be a real problem. But I want the challenge. I want a life-changing experience. I want to go out my comfort zone. I want to sleep under the stars, dig a hole for my doo-doo. I just want to do something totally different. And I'm hoping there is a lot of berries so that, you know, I could at least eat. But if not, then if, for example, there was other people and they needed food, then sure, I'd get involved. It's not necessarily my beliefs, but I would do what had to be done. And I'm going to say, bring it on. I would love to be Bear Grylls, put me in the elements. I'm hoping I would man up after day 1. And by day 5, I'll be like, don't need a shower, don't need to wash my hair. I can stink like a pig. And I think my essential sun cream, because you only get 1 of this. And apart from that, toothbrush, floss, that's got to be done. Toothpaste.
That list is getting longer and longer, Kat. Toothbrush, toothpaste, floss.
Well, I get a little bag. I need my essentials. Probably like a change of underwear so I can, you know, wash one pair out and put the next pair on. I'm going to say, when I lived in India, I washed my clothes for 3 months in the same bucket that they used for mopping the floors because there was nothing else. And I thought it was actually cleaner than sending it to the guy who did the washing and then ironed it in the street. So I was just like, ooh. Ew, no, especially when you find out they eat with one hand and wipe with the other. So yeah, I would love to do it. I would just love to challenge myself. I would
watch that show. I would watch, if you did that show, I would watch that show, Kat. I would watch you too, Eugenia, because you got some old school, like you said, you grew up with a full line. See, you're gonna be hardcore. Kat's gonna be comedy to watch because she's gonna be like, that would be so fun. That would be
I'll be like, oh my God, Sis, I can't do this. But I think where you come down to it, I just want to challenge. I want to go out my comfort zone. I want to do something that I've never done. I mean, as a kid, I had no problem sleeping in the back of a horse box. And I'm going to say all we did was like scrub it out with some water and then I would sleep in it. Since then, princess mode, absolute princess mode. Like I said, can't do hotels or any of that. I'm like so grossed out. If I go on a plane, I can't speak to anybody afterwards until I've had a shower, washed my hair, changed my clothes. I mean, even though I've not seen my family for like a good 3 years, if I went home tomorrow, they would know the first thing that I did was go upstairs and shower before even saying hello to anyone. Because I am so OCD, it's unbelievable. But yeah, put me out in the wilds, take me out my comfort zone. I am game for a challenge.
On that note, next week on FNL, we're gonna have survival show. That's it.
Eugenia, we need a bug eating contest.
I know.
You know, we need like crickets and roaches. I'm sure you could buy like dried ones somewhere in LA. I know you can get like cricket dog food now. I'm not going to say that, but
yeah, there's a famous video of Nicole Kidman eating bugs on like Vanity Fair, and I couldn't watch that.
Can you imagine if they were live bugs and they were like?
I think they were live bugs. I think I couldn't watch it. I just opened it up, but it's a trend apparently to eat.
See, when y'all do that, I will be the host. You guys be the contestant. I ain't gonna be no contestant. I will be host. Can you believe?
It's the UK. You'll be hosting from the spa, getting your nails done, having a facial. Meanwhile, Eugenia's like totally manned up, totally at home with it. I'm having a freak out, but doing my best. Trying to like bath with some soap or shampoo or whatever I brought with me in the river. But yeah, it would be a lot of fun. I think it would just be brilliant, life-changing, absolutely life-changing.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for this week's episode. Thank you for your questions. Thank you all the viewers, and hope to see you next week.